Hello everyone and welcome back to Neopets, the Darkest Faerie. Last time we finally entered Bogshot in order to find out that the entire village is sick of a plague. So now we're heading deeper into the swamp in order to find the cure for that plague, which involves finding 3 different colors of bogberries to bring back to the apothecary. This also means that we're going into what is, in my opinion, the least interesting part of the game, because it's pretty much the swamp level of the Darkest Faerie. Which kind of brings me to an opinion of mine. When you usually think of boring levels, you sometimes usually think of, say for instance, water levels or sewer levels. They usually just get a bad rap altogether. And while I kind of agree every now and again about water levels or sewer levels being kind of uninteresting, I kind of skipped over the first sewer level we had in terms of this game with Tor, all the way back when he was training. But I think what my least favorite kind of level is really a swamp level. I don't remember actually archers being in this swamp. But here's kind of why. Sewer levels are kind of restricted to what they can kind of be considered a sewer. And then water levels usually just have their own kind of pieces that players usually don't really like. But when it comes to swamp levels, they have the potential to be very interesting in how they communicate what the swamp kind of looks like, what kind of things are inside of it, and the kind of things you might be finding or seeing or finding. This is the route back to where the back door is in order to get to the swamp, but every time you go into the deep green sludgy water, you actually just appear right back where the save point is at the center of the place. But I think the thing that bugs me about swamp levels the most is that there's so much potential for them to be good that I never see them actually be good. Because the problems that Bogshot Swamp has is that it's really uninteresting to look at. Yeah, get some good change. Alright. The main color palette is usually, from what I see with swamps, is that it's green. And especially with Bogshot and the current predicament that we're in, not only is it green, but it's a darker green, it's all in shadow, and there's also the hues of purple because we're surrounded by the purple clouds. It makes it bleak, and even when we're done in Bogshot Swamp, it doesn't really look all that great afterwards either. The other thing I don't like about Bogshot Swamp is, well, kind of the general gist of how this level kind of works. So we're kind of in the central area around where the save point is and where this interesting looking temple is, which has to do with, well, kind of has connections to the boss that we're going to be fighting at the end of it. The game doesn't really explain that itself, you just have to kind of assume and imply that's what the temple is supposed to be connected to. But beyond that, we're just kind of moseying around looking at all the different swamp tentacles that really don't have a connection to anything underneath the water. Like, what kind of giant monster could be underneath the shallow water that we're not able to actually sink into that we could possibly be fighting? Because tentacles are attached to something. They're usually not something that has their own kind of intelligence. But even with shallow areas, there are certain places in the Bogshot Swamp that you can sink further into, which brings us to the second map of the swamp. The sinkholes, specifically. This is where 2 more treasures are, and we actually have a treasure map for one of them. And there's more than one way in order to actually drop into these places. It also means that we get to do clog duty, which is absolutely what I wanted to do again. Harken back to the sewer level. There's also sludgies around here, which, Roberta can be good against them. Whoa, he dropped a lot of money. That usually doesn't happen. But the issues I mainly have with the sludgies and having Roberta fight them is that the time she takes in order to swing her wand to actually shoot the spell, usually the sludgies have tanked up in terms of their invincibility in order to block everything around them, that she can never get a shot off. She really only needs 2 with the wind mote. But the timing is just off. And then close up, yeah, I don't even know if it's just not fair or not. It's like you have to find a way to make them just like break out of their loop, and the way I don't want to do it is just to continuously spam spells at them. You get to this main central point as well, and the only way out is one specific way, that every time you drop into the sinkholes, and we will be dropping in more than once, at least twice more in order to get the treasures, is that you have to go up here, fight some sludgies, kind of hop around the outside ledges of the sinkhole in order to get up to the specific place that you are able to get up from. The game is a little bit merciful and gives you a wind mote, though, just kind of chilling around, so you are able to replenish anything that you've lost. Because wind motes we're going to be using in excess in this area, because most things are earth elemental. But going into the sinkhole at this point in the Boxshot Swamp map puts us much further east of the temple, which makes an issue arise in terms of the general pathing that the game expects you to take through the swamp. Because you're supposed to go to the extreme ends of all of the different kind of peninsulas of all of the different areas of the swamp in order to find things that we need, right? Well, the sinkholes kind of are there as an extra little bonus for you to go into. Wow, I'm getting double teamed here. But as you head back to the temple from the east side, if you've never been through this area before, you find 3 sludgies amidst the Baguses here. Again, they're super... I do want to find out what that timing is, really. Maybe I'm not able to. The other guys aren't even really paying attention all that much. And as much as I would like to really make it so that the charged wind mote is able to do any sort of damage, well, sometimes they don't really do that. Mostly it just makes the enemies slow if they are not immune to them. And here we go. What I would really love is that if you drop a huge chunk of change, that would be really good too. Apparently not. Alright, so we're good with that. All these Baguses here. But as you kind of just like go closer and closer to the temple, once I actually deal with this grass, I kind of want to make use of this because my luck is super high, so I should be able to get a huge chunk of Neopoints out of them. 500, in fact. I didn't think there was 5 tufts. Yeah, well, anyway. Get some Baguses, might as well use one, just for the sake of it. And let's head back to the temple. But wait! Yeah, the game really expects you to go from the temple east, not the opposite way around. Because our assassin buddy apparently shows up. Ha ha ha, I'm such an evil villain. Except that I already dealt with his threat. So, yeah, there's some scripting issues when it comes to what actually makes the assassin kind of show up. The swamp also makes it so that any sort of first impressions you had about the Gellert assassin after you left Brightvale kind of goes out the window. I don't really like him anymore. The main reason for that is because he's less of like an immediate threat, because outside of Brightvale, he just was immediately to the point in order to kill you. Now for the rest of Act 3, he just kind of shows up at random points and doesn't directly do anything to physically harm you. He just sends other things and does other things to just either impede your progress or thinks that other things are going to be able to take care of you so that he doesn't have to do it. It's kind of a pain in the butt how much his character has now been diminished. But at least one of the first peninsulas we go down has the white bogberries and something that we're going to be seeing soon enough. Now, when it comes to the map, this place is surrounded by dark green, but you might notice that there is a treasure down here as well. You do have to jump off of this area in a relatively specific spot in order to get across to this outer ridge. It has more archers. I swear, I remember my last few runs of this area, and there was not this many archers that were going through. And I just did my own thing. So my shield is not doing its job. Yeah. There we go. Anyway. Yeah, more supernova motes. The more the merrier. The other thing I kind of expected out of this area is that it could have had an entrance to the sinkholes here, just on the opposite side of that outer ridge, but I guess not. But yes, we're going to be looking for more of these because, well, we have more treasures in order to find. Because really the main issue is not actually getting the bogberries, because they're pretty much out in the open and not protected in a whole lot of ways. So you can just get them in really quick fashion. It's just about getting the treasures all around the area that are a little bit more difficult. Which I would feel is... I don't want to say it's the other way around, because the treasures are optional and should be out of their way, but I feel like the bogberries should have a little bit more challenge attached to them. Hello, tentacle. More money the merrier. There's also really big open areas of just places that you're able to go, which generally says that there should be like sinkhole areas, but sometimes yes, sometimes no. You do just have to look for the bubbles in order to find them. But this one has one of our treasure chests that we need. I just wish that the sinkholes were more attached to where they are on top for the swamp, because I kind of feel that they are close, but not quite. More money. Eventually we're going to be needing as much money as we can possibly get, so I'm pretty much stockpiling at this point. But it's the same kind of pace in order to get out of the sinkholes, and we'll put you in the exact same place as before, so we can head further east from here. Now, hopping onto these pillars, you might notice that island that's right over there that looks to have a Nova moat on top of it. But if you also notice, it's kind of surrounded by deep sludge, swamp water, so I can't actually get to it. And to be honest, I have no idea how to get to that little point over there in order to get that Nova Mote. There just doesn't seem to be any way in order to platform across, even with the mounds of, what should I say, just the swamp grass that's just around everywhere. Because there is right in the middle of this trench here that leads over to that island, but I could definitely not jump that far. I don't know, I must be missing something. But it's also a moat, so I'm not too bothered by it. As long as we can get our red bodberries. It's 2 out of 3 out. Ba-da-bum-bum-ba-da-bum-bum. Something's lurking in this swamp. Something's lurking like bubbles. Alright, one last time into the sinkhole. This should get us our treasure. Yeah, there we go. Whoop. Let's not almost go off the ledge. Especially when I'm picking up... Yay! Hey. I'm getting lucky with money. So that's always good. Except for... Whoop. Yeah, don't move. Okay. Got all that said and good, so the sinkhole treasures are done. So that's good. And I'm pretty sure that the bog shot treasures are pretty good as well. There are some other places that we can't really get to, but we'll leave that for another time because we're really heading up into very important territory. We have one last bogberry in order to get, but it's going to take a little bit in order to get it. So see you next time, everyone, as we fight a boss?